we'll get that started. All right, looks like most people are from Sacramento, about 50%. It's pretty typical. A couple people outside of the US, a couple people from Southern California, Central California, a couple outside of California too. All right. So I think we've got most of the students here now. There'll be some more trickling in as we go. So once again, my name's Brandon. The general outline of this presentation, we're going to spend about 45 minutes to an hour going over kind of everything you need to know about the business major here at Sac State. We'll go over like classes that you'll be taking, some of our policies, just some like general information about the College of Business. And if you guys have any questions, there's the chat feature. So Jamie and Stephanie will be monitoring the chat. If you have any questions about anything that I'm covering, feel free to ask any questions that you have in the chat. At the end, we will be opening it up to any questions that you might have. So you can, at the end of the presentation, you can unmute yourself and we will be able to answer your questions verbally if you want to do that. And then one thing, try to keep yourself muted if possible. Sometimes if you unmute, we get random sounds, a child, a dog or something. So it just kind of interrupts the presentation. So go ahead and just keep yourself muted until the end. And then if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them at that time. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do, this is kind of the general overview and kind of what we want you guys to know by the end of the session today. So the first thing is what the OSE is and how it serves you. The OSE stands for the Office of Student Engagement. Important academic policies for business majors, when to apply to the program. And then the last thing is course requirements for all business majors. So we have, we'll spend a bunch of time on like what classes you'll be taking over the next couple of years, and then what classes you'll be taking once you get into the business major in your junior and senior years here at Sac State. So these are kind of the main 4 things that we want you guys to know by the end of the session today. One other thing is if you have your guidebook, this should be in your Canvas, in your orientation area in your Canvas. Jamie or Stephanie can post the link to the guidebook as well. This guidebook is just a PDF file. It's a great thing to have both today through the presentation and also just afterwards, because basically everything that we're going to cover today will be in the new student guidebook. It's kind of your resource for the next 4 to 5 years here at Sac State with regards to the business major. So if you can, go ahead and download that and maybe have it open on your computer as we're going through the presentation. It's super handy and I'll be referencing it quite a bit throughout the presentation. So yeah, just try to have that handy if you can. All right, so just a little bit of background information about the College of Business. We are accredited by AACSB. That stands for the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business. Not something that you necessarily have to remember, but just keep in mind that only about 5% of business schools worldwide have this accreditation. It's something that we have to renew every 5 years. And when we talk about our policies and just kind of our general approach to educating students, that goes into us being accredited with AACSB. So we have a lot of values and this kind of extends to the community in the Sacramento area as well. We have a lot of different programs that have a global mindset, lots of ethics, and we'll kind of go over this as we go through the presentation as well. But just kind of keep in mind that we have a global focus. We're very focused on the Sacramento community. We have lots of programs that help members of the community, and a lot of our graduates actually, stay in the Sacramento community. So once you graduate from Sac State, you'll find, especially if you stay within the Sacramento community, you'll find a lot of fellow alumni that you'll run into or maybe even work with. And then one other thing to keep in mind with AACSB accreditation, if you have any inklings of doing like a graduate program, like an MBA program or something, whether it's here at Sac State or at a different school, saying that you've got your undergraduate degree from an AACSB accredited business program is definitely helpful. So if you do go on to do an MBA at another university, it's definitely going to be something beneficial for you to have that in your pocket. So just one other thing to keep in mind with the AACSB accreditation. Kind of going off the previous slide, kind of about a little bit more information about who we are. We have a lot of different centers and programs that are within the College of Business at Sac State. So we have the Center for Small Business. This is a great program that actually helps people in the area. So as an example, if let's say there's some small business owner in the Sacramento area and they need help with a business plan. They're kind of in over their head. They've never really created a business before. They can actually come to our Center for Small Business and actually get help with actual students in a class and get like a business plan created, or help with their marketing, or help with their financial issues, whatever issues they may have. So that's something that we have in our actual College of Business, and the Center for Small Business does things like that for members of the community. So it's a great way for us to kind of give back to the community and help people who may need some assistance in getting their business up and running. One other one that I'll point out on this list is the Student Investment Fund. If there's anyone in the session who is going to do finance as your concentration, you definitely want to pay attention to the Student Investment Fund. It's not something that you'll be able to do right away. You'll need to be at least a junior. You'll need to be in the business program, and you'll have to have some finance classes under your belt first. But it's a great way for you to get experience working in the stock market. The Student Investment Fund, it's an actual class that you would take, and you actually manage real money, and you try to grow that money over the semester or a year. If you want to do it for 2 semesters, you want to try to grow the money as much as possible. And you have a faculty advisor in the class. You have a bunch of other students in the class that you'd be working with. So, once again, if you have any passing interest in finance, or if that's going to be your concentration when you get into the business major, definitely check out the Student Investment Fund. So one other thing here is, let me just end this poll. We have a bunch of alumni, obviously, from Sac State. So I'm just curious to see if you guys want to answer who you may know that is a Sac State alumni. Sometimes it's an immediate family member, or maybe a friend, or a distant family member. Sometimes maybe you're just the only one. Maybe you're the only Hornet you know, and that's totally fine. So we're getting about a quarter of the students responding that it's an immediate family member. So we do have a lot of Sac State alumni, especially in this area. Our alumni tend to stay in the Sacramento area for the most part. So once again, you're going to run into many Sac State alumni. All right, so let's advance on here. We are very student-centric in the College of Business, so I'm going to go over a couple of our different offices and departments within the college. So the first one is the Office of the Associate Dean for Academic Programs. They do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. You're probably never going to directly interact with this department, but you may have to call them on the phone, or you may be emailing someone in this department. But just so you know, the Associate Dean for Academic Programs, they do a lot of our course management. They assign professors to classes. They do grade corrections. So if you have an issue with a grade that you've received and you're just not able to resolve it with that particular faculty member, you can go to this office and they can help you out. They kind of do our general curriculum design. They do any appeals to our various policies within the College of Business. Dr. Andrei Mikhailichenko is the interim associate dean. We don't have a permanent associate dean yet, but he is the interim associate dean for the foreseeable future. And then we also have department chairs. So the way I kind of like to say it is we have kind of from the top down, we have the dean of the college, and then we have the associate dean for academic programs. And then under that associate dean for academic programs, we have department chairs. And there's 6 department chairs, and they're basically kind of in charge of their specific areas. It kind of breaks down by our concentrations, but not quite, because some department chairs oversee more than one concentration, while other department chairs only see one concentration. So department chairs, they're under the associate dean for academic programs. They will be there. They're kind of in charge of their area. So for example, Dr. Forsich is in charge of the accounting area. So he'll kind of help create the accounting classes and kind of set times and kind of be in charge of that. And department chairs can also act as contacts if you have questions about that specific area. So if you're interested in, let's say, marketing, you can contact Dr. Catlin. He is the department chair for the marketing area. So he's kind of the person in charge of the marketing area. He's the department chair. So just think of it as kind of a top-down thing. The associate dean is at the top, and then under that are the 6 department chairs. And each department chair is in charge of at least one concentration, but sometimes the department chair has more than one concentration that they're in charge of. So that's just kind of the organizational structure of the College of Business. Pretty typical for most colleges, but we do have an associate dean and then 6 department chairs underneath. I had mentioned the OSE in the first slide that we talked about, the Office of Student Engagement. The Office of Student Engagement is under the College of Business. We work in the College of Business, and we do a lot of the stuff that's kind of outside of the classroom. We don't teach classes or anything like that. We're not professors. We're staff advisors and staff employees within the College of Business. Once again, I'm Brandon, and then we also have Jamie and Stephanie in the room. We also have Maria Lindstrom. She's our coordinator. She's on vacation right now, so she's not actually in the room. But we are the 4 main staff advisors. So myself, Maria, Jamie, and Stephanie. We also have 4 other employees under the Office of Student Engagement. They don't do advising directly, but they do other things. They work with our student clubs. They manage our tutors. They do a lot of different stuff within the Office of Student Engagement. And we'll get to that on the next slide. But just know that the College of Business does have an Office of Student Engagement. That's actually really nice because we are such a large college and such a large major, we can afford to have an office like this. Unfortunately, if you have any friends in other majors that are smaller, let's say like philosophy or even economics or something like that, they're such a small major, they can't afford to have an actual Office of Student Engagement with, you know, full-time staff advisors and that kind of thing. So since you chose business as your major, you will have access to these resources, which is nice. So I kind of alluded to this earlier, but what does the Office of Student Engagement do? We do a lot of different stuff, but mostly outside of the classroom. So we manage our student clubs, organizations, and honor societies. The College of Business has quite a few business student clubs underneath its umbrella. So we have, for the most part, we have student clubs for each concentration. We have honor societies, we have co-educational fraternities, we have just a lot of different things that you can join, depending on what your interests are and depending on kind of what you want to get out of your education here at Sac State. So if you want to join a club, I know it sounds strange, but with the fall being mostly online, the clubs are still out there. They're still going to be meeting, they're still going to be accepting new members. Certain clubs and organizations and honor societies will maybe require you to be in the business major, which that won't happen until your junior year. But there's other clubs that you can join from day one. So the list of clubs and contact information can be found on our website. So if you're interested in joining a club, especially with this fall semester being so strange with everything being distance learning, I would definitely recommend checking out our clubs, especially if you have an interest in a certain area of business. Maybe you're interested in marketing, maybe you're interested in accounting, check it out. But just make sure that you look at the admission requirements to each club, because some may require you to have certain classes done or be at a certain standing, maybe a junior standing, maybe senior, maybe in the business major. That's only some of the clubs, that's not all of them. But definitely check out our website for our list of clubs and organizations. The other thing that we do, or the next thing that we do in the Office of Student Engagement is we manage our internships and job board. So once again, we have a bunch of different internships that are available to students. We have a bunch of different part-time jobs. We have a bunch of different full-time jobs. And those are all posted on our website. Once again, similar to the clubs, many internships will require you to have a lot of business classes taken already. So you may not be able to get an accounting internship right away until you have some more accounting classes done. But that's not true of all internships and part-time jobs. So you would have to kind of peruse the list yourself, kind of look and see what is out there and what each requirement is. But I will say, I would definitely recommend at least doing one internship before you graduate, hopefully within the field that you're interested in. So for example, if you're interested in finance, try to get an internship at some point, maybe in your junior or senior year, a little bit later on down the road, in your field of study, or your field that you're interested in. It's a great way to actually see how things are done in the quote real world outside of the classroom. And it may give you a good idea or kind of push you towards a different area that you may not have realized before. So you may get an internship in finance, but then realize that that wasn't exactly what you thought it would be, but you've seen something else. Maybe you see a different part of finance, or maybe you're more interested in marketing, or who knows. But an internship is a great way to get that experience. But most internships will require you to be at least a junior. Not all, but most. We also give out a bunch of scholarship and award money. So these are just specific to business students. Once again, most of the scholarships are going to require you to be in the business major, and I'll go over what that means in just a little bit. Everyone in the room right now is what's called expressed interest in business, at least if you, when you applied to Sac State last year, if you put business as your major, you'll be expressed interest in business for the next 2 years or so, and then you'll apply to the major, but we'll go over that in just a minute. So we give away a lot of scholarship money. Most of the scholarships are going to require that you're in the business major. So you don't necessarily have to worry about the scholarships right now, but as you get closer to being in the business major, and once you're in the business major, you definitely want to check out our scholarship information page. There's a lot of different scholarships. We give out a lot of different money. And the scholarships are really varied. Some are based on obviously your GPA or your accomplishments, but a lot of the scholarships are based on what you are interested in, or what your concentration is, or what your background is, or where you're coming from, or there's just a lot of different things that go into each scholarship. So don't feel like, oh, I only have a 2.9 GPA, I won't qualify for any scholarships. Not all scholarships are based on GPA. So there's lots of other things out there that the scholarships are looking for. We also, on the fourth bullet point, moving on, we have free peer tutoring for most of our business courses, at least most of our required business courses. And we will have this tutoring available in the fall. So if you're taking Accounting 1, or if you're taking Management 10, or if you're taking MIS 10, if you're taking any of the business courses, there's most likely going to be free peer tutoring in the fall. And it's going to be over Zoom. Normally when we do tutoring, it's in our tutoring office, which is on campus in Tahoe Hall. Obviously, most of us are not going to be on campus in the fall, so we will have free tutoring online through Zoom. And like I said, the tutoring's free. Take advantage of it. There's tutoring for almost all of our required courses. So even if you don't need the tutoring necessarily in the fall, you keep in mind that we do have free tutoring for the foreseeable future. So we will have tutoring in the fall, we'll have it in the spring, most likely not in the summer, but we usually will have it every fall and every spring. So if you're struggling in a class, look into tutoring. And also, if you want to like move your, let's say you're getting a B in a class and you just want to try to get a little bit more out of the class, tutoring is a great way to improve like a B grade to an A grade. A lot of people think about tutoring like if you're failing a class, you need a tutor, and that's one reason to use tutoring, but also consider just increasing your grade to a higher grade. The tutoring can help out with that. And our tutoring information is on our website. We'll have updated information as the semester gets closer to starting about who our tutors are, what classes they're tutoring, and what their schedules are going to look like. So check back on our website if you want to take advantage of the tutoring. And I will say this is not related to the College of Business, but there is tutoring for pretty much like all the classes at Sac State. There's the PARC, the Peer and Academic Resource Center, that's located in Lassen Hall. I would assume that they're doing some sort of tutoring online as well. So if you're taking a non-business class and you need some help, just go on the Sac State website, just Google Sac State tutoring and see what pops up, because there's a lot of other departments out there that do tutoring for their classes, and departments that just do tutoring in general for most classes at Sac State. And then the last bullet point about the OSC, we do a lot of different events. these are going to look a little different with everything being remote for the fall, but we do a lot of different things. We give out free food. Normally we would give out free food like in Tahoe Hall in front of our office. But we actually did it through DoorDash last semester. So each student got, it was either $10 or $15 worth of a coupon code for $10 or $15 on DoorDash to grab some food. So we do stuff like that all throughout the semester. We have events where you can meet employers. We have events where you can meet student clubs. We just have a lot of different stuff. So keep our website bookmarked, and we'll have information on there. And I'll go over a little bit later in the presentation how you can even be more connected with us to know all of our events that we'll be doing over the fall semester. So that is the OSE kind of in a nutshell. That's the OSE, once again, to use this kind of top-down approach. The OSE is at the top, and then within the OSE is the Undergraduate Business Advising Center. So that's where myself, Maria, Jamie, and Stephanie work. And the UBAC, or the Undergraduate Business Advising Center, obviously we do advising for students. So we kind of take a one-stop approach to our advising services. We do drop-in hours or open office hours over Zoom. So if you have any quick questions that you want to ask us, at least through the end of the summer, we have open office hours or drop-in hours Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So we do it every 3 hours every day in the morning. And you can get any quick questions that you have answered there. Either myself, Jamie, or Maria will always be on the quote unquote drop-in hours through Zoom. And you can get that link on our website. So if you have any quick questions, after this presentation that you just want to double check with an advisor, you can always log in and ask us a quick question. It's pretty slow in the summer. There's not going to be a wait to see an advisor. We also do appointments for long-term planning. We'll be doing appointments on Zoom. And we also have the first year focus and the second year success program. And that is, Stephanie actually runs that program. So she will be your main advisor, at least in your major, for the next like 1 to 2 years. And she'll be talking about what she does in just a couple of slides. She'll come in and kind of give an overview of her program. We handle all admission through our Impaction program to the College of Business. So when you guys apply in a couple of years to the business major, we'll be the ones taking your applications, verifying that you've completed the coursework, calculating your GPA, all that stuff. We do GE, or general education advising, as well. We'll do probation advising, academic standing. If you get in academic probation, please talk to us, because it's with our major being impacted, you definitely don't want to be on academic probation, and we want to help you get out of that as quickly as possible. And we also process your graduation applications. So we do a lot of different stuff related to advising within the UBAC, or Undergraduate Business Advising Center. We also have faculty advisors, though, and they don't work in the Undergraduate Business Advising Center, but our faculty advisors are there to answer kind of more like detailed questions. So if you have a question like, I'm interested in marketing and I want to know more about what the fields in marketing are like, or what the jobs are like, or what's the job outlook, or what kind of job can I get with a concentration in marketing, that's where your faculty advisor will come into play. And each year we have new faculty advisors depending on the area. We basically have a faculty advisor for each concentration. So if you have like more career related questions, or more like nuanced questions about specific areas, we really can't help you out. We can tell you like what classes you need to graduate, and like what order you might want to take the classes in, or just kind of general questions about the major. But if you have like specific questions, you'll want to talk to a faculty advisor. They're full-time professors. They have a PhD in their respective field. Many of our professors have worked in their field, owned businesses, that kind of stuff. They're going to be much more likely to be able to answer your questions about specific areas than we will as staff advisors. So our faculty advisors can be found on our website. If you have an interest, or if you have a question about a specific concentration, check out the faculty advisors. They'll be able to help you out a little bit better than we can. All right, so I had mentioned this before, expressed interest status. So every student in the session now, if you applied as a business major, if you didn't and you're under a different major, you'll have to fill out a form, and we can hopefully get that posted in the chat. to declare expressed interest in business. But for the most part, everyone in the room is considered expressed interest in business. It's basically a fancy way of saying you're undeclared, you don't have a major. Expressed interest is not a major, it's just a designation in the system that says that you plan on applying and being a business major in the future. But as of now, your expressed interest, which is basically just undeclared. So all of the students in the session are expressed interest or undeclared. And when you reach like the second semester of your sophomore year or the first semester of your junior year, you'll most likely be ready to apply to the business major. Once you have applied to the major, then, and if you get in, you'll be actually a business major. You'll be in the business program. One thing to keep in mind on the right-hand side of the screen is all students are required to declare a major by the time they hit 60 units. And keep in mind, expressed interest is not a major. It's just a designation in the system. It's effectively undeclared. So if you are not in the business major by the time you hit 60 units, you may get a registration hold put on your account, and you may have to change your major to something else that's not impacted. This would only be if you're not making progress towards the major. If you have a low GPA, or if you haven't taken any of the prerequisites, will most likely put a registration hold on your account by the time you're 60 units. But keep in mind that's going to be 2 years from now. So you'll have the next 2 years to get your prerequisites done, get most of your GE done, and then hopefully apply to the major on time and get into the business major, ideally in your junior year at some point. But just you're going to hear this term expressed interest a lot, just so you know that that's what it means. It's just a designation in the system, and it effectively means you're undeclared. You don't have a major at this point. You won't have a major for the next 2 years until you apply and get accepted to the business major. So that's what that expressed interest status means. It is confusing, but just keep in mind that it is just a designation in the system. All right, so this is Stephanie's specialty, the first year focus and the second year success. So I will let her take over, and I'll switch the slides for you, Stephanie, and just let me know when you're ready to move on to the next one.
Okay, thank you, Brandon.
No problem.
So welcome everybody. My name is Stephanie, as it was previously mentioned. I am an academic advisor. I am both an academic advisor with the Academic Advising Center, which hopefully one day you'll learn is in Lassen Hall. That is where we review all of your general education requirements and graduation requirements. And I have been with the College of Business for almost a year now, working specifically with the first year and second year express interest population. So just a little bit about myself. I also went to Sac State straight out of high school. I started in 2009. I completed my undergrad at Sac State, and then I completed my graduate studies at Sac State, and now I've been a staff since 2018. I've really enjoyed my time there. I was born and raised in Sacramento, so as you can see, I'm probably not going to go anywhere. Just based on my experience, I feel very fortunate to be able to help you all as first years and potentially as second years, trying to help you kind of navigate, higher ed and how to get into the major and things like that. So with first year focus, we will be focusing on those students that are going to be in their first and second semesters at Sac State. So that would be you guys that are starting this fall and hopefully staying with us in the spring. So we can go to the next slide, Brandon. So in your first year focus, what we will be focusing on again is going to be the business program and its impaction. So you're going to learn a lot about it today, and you might be hearing about it, kind of throughout the semester, but I will be your main advisor for the first 2 years. So if you have any questions about the program, the impaction, what the prerequisites are, I am here to help for that. In the first year focus, I do have a peer mentor that sometimes helps meet with you guys. She is also in the business honors program. So if anybody is interested in that, she would be able to provide you with more information on what the business honors program is, what kind of opportunities it will have for you. So kind of like a mentorship opportunity there. The academic advising services include developing a short or a long-term course plan. So if you just want to talk about what business prereqs you need to take the next semester, then we can talk about that. If you want to talk about, long-term, you want to take some stuff over the summer, or you want to just kind of figure out how long it's going to take to complete the prereqs before you can apply to the major, that would be more long-term course planning. And we can do any of that in any of our advising appointments. Sometimes during your first year, the transition can be a little bit difficult going from high school to college. You're a little bit more independent, responsibilities more on you now. It's challenging when you're in person on campus, and right now that we're in a virtual environment, I can only imagine how much more nerve-wracking that might be for some of you. So, just even if you don't want to talk about business prereqs, maybe something's going on and you just kind of want to be pointed in the right direction, that's what we're here for. We're here to refer you to the appropriate campus service or resources. More than likely they'll be virtual, but we want to be able to point you in the right direction. In your first year, in order for us to kind of help guide you in what you think you might need, we do send out a survey for you to complete, and it will be sent out 2 weeks before the semester starts. It is the BESI survey, short for the Beginning College Survey of Student Engagement. So this will ask you kind of like where you feel you're at in terms of knowing about resources and things like that. So we ask that you please complete it, because that'll really help guide us or tell us what kind of guidance you need throughout your first semester and your second semester and so on. So you will be receiving a lot of emails from me. With that in mind, make sure that you are checking your Sac State email. That is how I will communicate with you. That is how my peer mentor will communicate with you. That is how our office will communicate with you. And that is how the university will communicate with you. So make sure that you are using your Sac State email. You're checking it at least once a week. Start making it a habit, because that is where all the communication will come through to you. And it'll really be on you at that point to really respond or reach out to us that way. So that kind of just sums up your first year, what we will be focusing on. If you decide to stay as express interest in business for your second year, then you'll automatically be placed into our second year success program. This will just track your progress towards the major a little bit more, see how many prereqs you have left. The academic advising services will include, business advising. We may touch on some general education if you don't go see one of our advisors in the advising center. I will also provide you with information on how to apply to the major. Some students may or may not forget that you need to fill out a supplemental application, so I'll just gently remind you all. If for some reason, you went through your first year and you thought, oh, yeah, business is for me, and now you're in your second year and you're kind of second guessing, or you're not really sure, what career possibilities you might have, we can definitely do a little bit of major exploration, career exploration. I would refer you over if I feel like there's a need for you to get more information that I can possibly give you. That could include the Career Center or faculty advising, as Brandon mentioned earlier. And then, of course, always making sure that we're referring you to the appropriate campus services and resources. And hopefully by the time you're in your second year, everything will hopefully settle and we'll be back to campus and you'll kind of figure out where all these places are located. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up. We just, in the first and second year, it's really crucial for us to kind of figure out, if business is going to be the major for you, if you want to continue with it, or if you think you want to switch your major. I'm also a general general education advisor. So if you all, have any questions about that, then I would be more than happy to answer those questions for you all. So I look forward to meeting you all, hopefully in the near future. For now, it'll just be in a virtual setting. So please be on the lookout for emails from me. Like I mentioned already, I will be reaching out throughout the fall, hopefully making appointments with you all to get to know you a little bit more and help you plan for your future at Sac State. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. So just to kind of follow up on what she was saying, I forgot to mention this earlier, but if you are not feeling business as your major, please feel free to explore other majors. I would say at least a third of the students in the room will probably change their major at some point. And we're going to get a lot of other students that aren't business majors right now switching into the business major or expressed interest. So most students change their major quite a few times from the time they start college to when they actually graduate. And if for some reason business is just not what you expected, please explore other majors. There's lots of resources on campus. There's a career center, there's advisors, there's all kinds of stuff, and people that can help you transition to another major if business is not something that you are committed to or interested in. So just want to kind of put that out there and just follow up on what Stephanie said. All right, so let's move on. So we're going to go over the actual classes that you'll be taking over the next couple of years here in the business expressed interest major. So the first part is the lower division coursework. That's about 23 units. And then the upper division coursework is quite a bit more. The upper division classes you're really not going to be taking until the very, very end of your sophomore year and starting in your junior year. So we won't spend too much time on the upper division courses. We will spend a lot of time on the lower division courses though. So these are the actual courses that you'll need to have completed and done in order to be able to apply to the business major. Now, most of you in the room are probably already registered in your 15 units for the fall. So you may see some of these courses on your schedule. That's great. Ideally, we want you to take probably about 2 of these per semester, maybe 3, depending on how you want to set up your schedule. So starting from the top, our first class that's required, and you don't have to take them in this order, they're just listed in alphabetical order. The first one is Accounting 1, which is Accounting Fundamentals or Financial Accounting. The next class is Accounting 2, which is Managerial Accounting. And anytime you see a class next to another class in parentheses, that means it's a prerequisite. So it means that you have to have that class done first. So you can't just jump into Accounting 2 unless you've already done Accounting 1. So most of the students in the room probably have not done Accounting 1, so you'll start with that one and then you'll take Accounting 2, ideally the following semester. You want to try to take those back to back. The next class is Economics 1A, that's Introduction to Macroeconomics. Then you've also got Econ 1B, Introduction to Microeconomics. These two have stars next to them. You could potentially have AP'd out of these. So if you took in high school the AP exam for macro or micro and you got a 3 or higher, so a 3, a 4, or a 5, you are exempt from taking that respective class. So for example, if you got a 3 on the micro econ AP exam in high school, you don't have to take Econ 1B. Econ 1B and 1A can be taken in whatever order you like. You may be enrolled in one of them right now. But once again, all of these classes have to be done in order to apply to the major. The next one is Management 10. This is Introduction to Business Law. This class has no prerequisites. You can take it at any time in the next 2 to 3 semesters. MIS 10 is our Business Applications Spreadsheets course. This is a 2-unit course. It is basically going over Microsoft Excel in pretty good detail. So it's going to be covering everything you need to know about Microsoft Excel. In this major, Excel is used in almost every class. So it's a good idea to take MIS 10 as early as possible because it's going to give you that kind of foundational knowledge of Microsoft Excel, and it's going to help you do better in your classes going forward, especially once you get to the upper division business courses. And then the last 2 are the 2 math classes. And kind of want to reiterate that business is a pretty math heavy major. You have these 2 math classes that you'll have to take as for the lower division courses. So you've got Math 24 and Stat 1. We also have some other math courses that you'll have to take once you get into the business major or once you start taking your upper division courses. So if you know that math is something that you struggle with, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do the business major. Just know that going in that it is a pretty math heavy major. If math is something that you're just not interested in, and you don't want to be taking a bunch of math courses, you may want to consider another major that doesn't have a math requirement. A lot of majors, most of the majors at Sac State don't really have a math requirement. Business, unfortunately, is one of those majors where you will have to take at least 3 pretty heavy duty math courses and potentially more than 3, kind of depending on what concentration you end up choosing. The other thing about Math 24 or Stat 1 is you can AP out of these as well. If you got a 3 or higher on the statistics AP exam, or the calculus AB or BC exam. If you got a 3 or higher, you are exempt from that respective course. And then the last thing about the 2 math classes, in parentheses, it says ALEKS placement test required. Before you can take Math 24 or Stat 1, you will have to take what's called an ALEKS placement test. It's basically an intermediate algebra placement test that you'll have to take. You can take it online, and it's administered through the math department. So before you can actually take the Math 24 or the Stat 1, you will have to do the ALEKS. Some of the students in the room, maybe you've already taken the ALEKS, but if you haven't and you plan on pursuing business, you'll want to get your ALEKS hopefully maybe taken at some point during this fall semester, so that you're ready to take at least one of the math courses in the spring. But just know that that ALEKS placement test is out there and it is required to take Math 24 or Stat 1. If you have an AP score in stats of 3 or higher or Math 24, you might be exempt from the ALEKS to take the other course. So for example, if you have an AP score of 3 on the stats test, you probably can just take Math 24. But if you don't have any prior college math experience, you're going to have to take the ALEKS placement test before you enroll in Math 24 or Stat 1. All right, so that is the list of the lower division courses. These are what you're going to be focusing on. They're on page 8 of your new student guidebook. These courses are what you will be focusing on over the next 3 to 4 semesters. And ideally, just so you're just kind of thinking long term, you want to try to have all of these done by the end of your 3rd or 4th semester here at Sac State. That's kind of your target to get these done so you can apply to the business major and pursue and move on to the upper division courses. Just a couple notes about some of our academic policies. We have three policies that we want to go over today. They're in page 29 of your new student guidebook. The first one is minimum grade requirements. This one's pretty easy. And this is just for, all of these policies just pertain to business courses. This doesn't necessarily mean it affects your GE or general ed courses. So the first one is minimum grade requirements. You have to get a C- in all of your business classes, whether they're lower division prerequisites, whether they're upper division core or concentration courses. You have to get at least a C- in all of your business courses. The only exception to this is for Math 24, which is the modern business math that we just went over in the previous slide. You do need a C or better for this class. So easy thing to remember, C- in all business courses, and then a C in Math 24. Now you don't want to get all C-, but if you get a couple here and there, that's okay. But you have to get at least a C- for it to be considered passing. The next one is the repeating courses. You have 3 attempts per business course to pass the course. So for example, and this is both for lower division and upper division business courses. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you take Accounting 1 in this upcoming fall semester and you don't pass it, you get an F. First semester in college, it wasn't working and you just weren't able to pass the class. That's fine, that's your first attempt. Let's say you re-enroll in Accounting 1 in the spring of 2021, so in the next semester, and you do better, but you get a D. Still not passing, because remember, you need at least a C- or better for a course to be considered passing in the business major. So now you have 2 attempts. You have an F and you have a D. So if you re-enroll in that Accounting 1 course, let's just say you take it in the fall of 2021. You're on your 3rd attempt. If you don't pass it with a C- or better by that 3rd attempt, then unfortunately you'll have to be removed from either expressed interest in business or the business major, depending on when you would hit that 3rd attempt of the class. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're on a 3rd attempt of any required business course, please contact us. We can help you out. If you're in trouble with that 3rd attempt, we can talk to you about the drop policy. There's some other things. If you end up getting a WU grade, we can usually get that deleted for you. There's a lot of other things that you may not be aware of that we can help you out with in order to keep you in the business major. But just remember, any course that's in the business major, you have 3 attempts in order to pass the class. And if you can't pass it by the 3rd attempt, we have to remove you from the business major and you'll have to switch to a different major. And then the last one is our 10-year currency of knowledge policy. This one is only pertains to upper division business courses. So you have 10 years from the start of your first upper division business course to graduate. So if it's fall of 2020 right now, let's say you take your first upper division course in the spring of, let's say, 2022, you would have until 2032 to graduate. So it's literally like 12 years from now. So this really shouldn't affect too many people. You just have to make sure and graduate within 10 years of taking your first upper division business course. This one usually doesn't affect too many students, but just keep it in mind if you do end up dropping out of Sac State or stopping out, taking a break, and then you do come back at a later date. So those are the 3 academic policies that we want you to know. There's a lot more. You can look in your guidebook for more details and obviously on our website and in the catalog, but these are kind of the 3 most important ones that we want you guys to have knowledge of. All right, so what is Impaction? I had mentioned this before. We are an impacted major. We have, unfortunately, too many students that want to be business majors and not enough room in order to accept all of the students that want to be business majors into the actual major. So what you have to do is you have to submit a supplemental business application once all of your lower division courses in the business major are completed. And that list of lower division courses is what I showed about 2 slides ago. So you have to have all those done. So once you have all the lower division prereqs done and then you apply, you are rank ordered by your overall GPA, or sometimes it's called cumulative GPA. Basically every class you've taken in college, whether it's a community college, maybe you took something over the summer, we put it all into one big pool and then calculate your GPA using all of the classes that you've taken or attempted. And then we admit students based on overall GPA. And I have a slide coming up that will show you kind of our historical cutoffs that we've been at over the past like 7-8 years. Just know that we are an impacted major. Stephanie will be covering this much more in depth with her emails to you over the next couple of years and when you meet with her. All right, so application dates and process. Once again, this is very much in the future. This is at least 3 semesters away for everyone in the room. But you will be applying to the business major at some point in the next, I'd say like 1.5 to 2 years. Our applications are done twice a year. So we have an application in the fall semester to get in for the following spring. And then we always have an application in the spring semester, every spring semester, to get in for the following fall. The application window for each semester is always 6 weeks long. So in the fall, it's September 1st to October 15th. And then in the spring, if you are applying in a spring semester, it's going to be February 1st to March 15th. So just keep in mind, we do have 2 application cycles per year. A lot of students think it's just 1, but we do have 2, 1 for each semester. And then you'll see the minimum requirements to apply on the right-hand side. Good academic standing, 45 units earned. Those are both pretty easy to achieve. Lower division complete. Once again, that's back on page 8 of your new student guidebook. But the 4th bullet point is the most important one. And it's the one that will trip up the most students wanting to get into the business major. You'll always see that it says minimum 2.4 overall GPA to apply. But then if you read past that, it's always going to say actual GPA cutoff ranges between 2.8 and 3.0. So this next slide will show you what our cutoff GPAs have been for the past like 5 years or so. So you can see way back in spring of 2015, our cutoff happened to be a 2.75. And once again, this is overall GPA, cumulative GPA. It then shot up the very next semester to a 2.95. So that was kind of a big difference in cutoff. Then it went back down to a 2.8, then back up to a 2.95. Over the past couple of years, though, it's pretty much leveled off between a 2.8 and a 2.95. In general, we expect it to probably be in that range for the foreseeable future. So minimum GPA that we expect to go down to would be a 2.8, but it could go all the way up to a 2.95. So we're pretty confident that it's going to fall within that range for at least the next couple of years. So, keep this in mind. This grade chart right here will give you an idea of what your grades mean and how they calculate to GPA. So just kind of a thought experiment. If you say, hey, I'm going to get all B minuses in all of my classes, or average a B minus grade across all of my classes until I apply to the program, you think like a B minus, yeah, that's pretty good. Like that's a B grade, it's a low B grade. But if you look at the GPA that it equals, it's a 2.7. If you apply with a 2.7 overall GPA, your chances of getting into the program are pretty slim. You've seen the chart here. The chart actually doesn't even go down to a 2.7. So we haven't been at a 2.7 in the last 5 years. We've always been at least above a 2.7 and usually above a 2.8. So you really want to be shooting for a B average across all of your classes. That's a 3.0 on the GPA scale. That doesn't mean that you can't get C's or C minuses in a couple courses. That's totally fine, but just make sure to balance it out and even it out with A's in other classes so that you are at least that B average. Obviously, you want to be above a B average if possible, but kind of bare minimum is a B average. That's a 3.0. A 3.0 effectively, we've never gone above a 3.0 for our cutoff, and you're basically in good shape if you're applying with at least a 3.0 overall GPA. So just keep in mind how grades work and how they correspond to certain GPA numbers. You want to be at least at a 3.0 to be in good shape to get into the program. One other thing that we wanted to mention is maybe you take all these business courses and you're like, you know what, like I like business, but it's just not something that I want to major in. We do have minors in business. So if you end up switching to a different major, whether that's this semester or in like a year and a half or 2 years, you can always minor in business. We have our general business minor, which is about 23 units. And it has similar prerequisites to the major. So if you take a bunch of our pre-major classes and then you end up switching to a different major, you can use most of those for the business minor. If you don't want to do the general business minor, we have 4 other minors that you might be interested in. We have human resources, we have marketing, real estate, and then risk management and insurance. So you don't have to do a minor. That's not required to graduate, but just keep in mind that if you're interested in the minor, we do have 5 different minors to choose from. So if you just want to kind of have a little bit of your degree be business and have your major be something else, definitely consider one of the business minors. All right. So we are almost running out of time here, so I'm kind of speed up through this upper division coursework. The upper division is made up of 2 areas, major core and then concentration. The upper division major core, which is on page 9 of your new student guidebook, these are the 8 courses that are required upper division core courses. So regardless of the concentration you choose, you're going to have to take these 8 classes. Once again, like I mentioned before, you won't be taking these classes at least for another 3 semesters or so. The first 3, the DS 101, the HROB 101, and the Management 102 are available to expressed interest business majors. So you don't have to be in the business major to take the first 3 on the screen. But for 2 of them, for HR and management, you have to be at least a junior. And for DS 101, you have to have Math 24 and Stat 1 done. So even though these are open to expressed interest business majors, you won't be taking them until your end of your sophomore year or your first semester of your junior year. Everything from Finance 101 to GM 105, you have to be in the business major to take. So you definitely won't be taking these courses at least for another 2 years or so. But once again, all of these classes are at least 3 to 4 semesters away. So don't worry about these right now. Just know that they're out there. And then obviously your major that you're going to get if you stay in the business major is a major in business administration. But we also have 10 concentrations. You have to choose at least 1 concentration in order to graduate with a business degree. Now, you don't choose your concentration until you apply to the business major. So nothing you're taking right now class-wise has any effect or bearing on your concentration. You don't take your concentration courses really until like the end of your junior year and your senior year. But it's never too early to start thinking about what concentration you want to do. There's lots of different concentrations out there. Like I said, we have 10 different ones to choose from. You can do more than one concentration if you want to, but you do have to stick with at least one concentration. You have to pick at least one to graduate with a degree in business. One thing that may help you kind of choose a concentration, and I know this text is really small, but this is in your guidebook. It's pages 24 to 25. We have a bunch of career possibilities broken down by concentration. So if you're like completely confused and you have no idea what concentration you want to do, start taking a look at this document, because it'll give you an idea of like, maybe you want to approach it from like, what type of job are you interested in? And then what concentration does that job fall under? So once again, on your own time, check this out in your new student guidebook, pages 24 to 25. And it may help you choose your concentration once you get to that point when you apply to the business major. All right, so you'll hear the term finish in 4, which basically means that you are going to be pushed to try to finish Sac State in 4 years and graduate in 4 years or 8 semesters. Just keep in mind that is totally fine, but you would have to average 15 units per semester to graduate in 4 years. So you'd have to take 5 classes per semester. If you don't want to graduate in 4 years and you'd rather maybe take 5 years, that would knock you down to 12 units per semester. That would get you done in 5 years or 10 semesters. And this doesn't include summer classes. If you want to take summer classes, that will definitely increase your chances of graduating in 4 years. But not all students, don't feel like you have to graduate in 4 years and push yourself and overexert yourself. Many students take longer than 4 years to graduate, and that's totally fine. The most important thing is to keep your GPA high, especially in these early years while you're getting ready to apply to the program. And also you want to make sure that you graduate. You don't want to get into a situation where you have to drop out for a variety of different reasons because you were taking too many units. So 15 units per semester is the 4-year plan. 12 units or 4 classes per semester is the 5-year plan. The next slide has to do with online courses. So all of the courses, most of the courses that you'll be taking in the fall will be online. But there's 2 different types of online courses that you'll kind of encounter, and you can see these on your schedule right now if you're already enrolled in your classes. There's synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous online classes, even though they're online and it says web online, they have a day and a time associated with the class. So for example, the class in this screen on the left is Music 18. It's Tuesday, Thursday from 10:30 to 11:45. So even though it's an online class, you have to be available during that time, maybe for a test, maybe for a discussion, for whatever reason the professor wants you to be available during that time. That would be a synchronous online class. Asynchronous will always have TBA under the dates and times. So for example, this one has History 17A as an asynchronous online class. It's TBA, web online. This means that the class, you just take the class and you work at your pace that you want. You can work at midnight, you can work at 6 in the morning, you can log in whenever and do the work in the class. There's no time specifically associated with the class. So synchronous has a time associated with it. You have to be available during that time. Asynchronous classes are completely online, and you can effectively log in whenever and do the work in the class whenever you want throughout the week. Not all classes are synchronous or asynchronous. That your schedule most likely will have a mix, but we just want you to be aware of those 2 terms and what they mean on your student schedule. All right, so setting yourself up for success. I will make this brief, but you're going into your first semester in college and most of your classes will be online. That is going to be a very difficult situation. Normally, we don't want first-year students to take online classes, but given the situation, that's not possible for the fall 2020 semester at least. So you really need to be on top of being organized and having your self-discipline. So I would definitely consider keeping a planner. I would schedule time. If you have asynchronous online classes, it's very easy to kind of forget about them and just log in every once in a while to kind of check up on the class. But it can really be overwhelming and it can kind of overtake you very quickly if you don't have a time set up for each class per week. So I would definitely consider scheduling time if you have any asynchronous online classes. The synchronous classes, you'll be logging in multiple times per week at the same time, so that shouldn't be as much of an issue. Communication and connection. Really, you want to make sure that you are set up online. You want to be checking in with your advisors, which is us. You want to be checking in with your faculty advisors, tutors, financial aid. All of that is going to be online and through distance. So kind of related to the third bullet point, definitely set up a system to manage your email. Your Sac State email in particular. That's the way that we're going to communicate to you. That's the way that Stephanie is going to communicate to you. That's honestly the way that most offices at Sac State will be communicating with you. So I would recommend setting up your Sac State email with push notifications on your phone. I know that's annoying, but that way you will never miss an email that comes to you. And make sure to check it at least once per day for any new information that gets sent out to you. The fourth bullet point is remember Zoom and email etiquette. Use your full name, know your student ID, use complete sentences, be aware of your environment, be professional. You're going to be interacting on Zoom or other distance learning programs with your faculty, with other students, with your advisors, with lots of different offices on the Sac State campus. So you want to try to be as professional as possible. And make sure that that comes across when you are communicating with someone through Zoom or whatever program it happens to be. And take advantage of our free peer tutoring. Like I said, we have tutoring for lots of our business courses in the fall, and there's also tutoring outside of business for lots of GE classes. So if you're struggling in those classes, then you definitely want to check out our peer tutoring. And then basically the last slide, BizList is on page 32 of your new student guidebook. That is our listserv. You sign up with your email address, and we then can send you out all of our announcements for upcoming events, internships, jobs, scholarships, giveaways, all that stuff. So definitely sign up for BizList. The instructions are on page 32 of the guidebook. You can also go to our website to get other instructions on how to join as well. We are on Facebook. If anyone in the room still uses Facebook, we have a Sac State Business Advising Group. That's what it's called. And you will need to provide your student ID number. It's a private group, just so we can verify that you're actually a Sac State business student. And we're also on Instagram under CBA Biz Students. So you can follow us on Instagram. We post a lot on there, not as much in the summer, but once the fall semester starts up, we'll be posting a lot more. Okay, so it is 12:03. I'm 3 minutes over. But these are the ways that you can stay connected with us. The best way to contact us is by email. That's cba-ugrad@csus.edu. You can go to our website as well. And then one other website that you want to probably bookmark is directory.csus.edu. You can look up any person who works at Sac State, whether it's a faculty member, a staff advisor, someone in financial aid. Anyone who works at Sac State will be on the directory website. You just literally pop in their first and last name, and it gives you their email address, their office location, and their Sac State telephone number. Yes, so that is a picture of our Tahoe Hall 1030. That is our office. We are not obviously open right now. We most likely will not be open until the spring semester. So once again, the easiest way to contact us is to email us, cba-ugrad@csus.edu. The end result for everyone in the room is graduation. Whether you end up graduating with a business degree or a degree in something else, we want to make sure that you graduate. And whether it takes 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, the most important thing is graduating, getting your diploma. So that's what we want to see all the students in the room get to eventually. Okay, so that is the end of the presentation. I know orientation leaders have something set up for you guys next. Does anyone have any questions? I don't think I saw much action in the chat, but does anyone have any questions about something that is confusing or just to clarify something? You can unmute yourself if you'd like, or you can use the raise hand feature and we can kind of call on you one by one. But if anyone has any questions, you can let us know, or just unmute yourself and ask your question. Any questions? Usually we
Brendan.
don't have. Oh, okay. There's Jaime. Hey, Jaime.
Uh,
Go ahead.
this is orientation leader Ham. What's it called? Just a quick question. I think Mary already asked you, but just to double check. If a student passed AP Calculus AB, would they be able to go into Math 24, or is it only for stats?
No, so so it's kind of confusing. So if you passed AP Calculus, either AB or BC with a 3 or higher, you don't have to take Math 24. You are completely exempt from it, but you're still going to have to take stats because stats is a completely different subject. But yeah, if you AP'd out of any Calc, AP, A, B, or BC, and you got a 3 or higher, then you don't have to take Math 24. You're good to skip that.
And just to clarify, so it's only 2 math classes, correct? That
yeah, there's only, yeah, correct, Cecilia. There's only 2 math classes that are lower division. However, once you start taking upper division courses like DS 101 and OPM 101 and even like Finance 101 have quite a bit of math to them. But as far as lower division courses go, it's just Math 24 and Stat 1 for the math.
Okay, thank you. Sounds good.
No problem. Any other questions about anything else that we covered or didn't cover?
Do we get to pick our GE courses in the spring, or is it kind of like set up by you guys?
Orientation leaders want to chime in on that one, or so at least it's my knowledge that this for the fall semester you are going to be pre-enrolled in your courses. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to continue on for the spring. Jaime, do you know? Is that?
It will continue in the spring, yes.
Okay. So you will be enrolled in your spring courses, and you'll most likely get some sort of correspondence about like schedule choice and like what classes, what times you want to be taking classes and that kind of thing. Or if you change your major, that's definitely going to affect what classes you would be enrolled in for the spring semester. All right, any other questions before we finish up? Okay, so orientation leaders, what's the next step for the students in the room?
So everyone, you will be going back to your original Zoom link from this morning to have a debrief. So make sure you go back after this.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Erica. All right, well, thank you everybody for coming. This ends the business major portion of your orientation session. Once again, if you have any questions, email us cba-ugrad@csus.edu, and be on the lookout for emails from Stephanie. She will be sending out some initial emails most likely next month, and she will be excited to meet you all and interact with you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Sac State.
Yep, welcome. Good luck in the fall.